Welcome to the Wandiology podcast, where we learn and demystify astrology as a tool to gain a deeper understanding of our energetic signatures and our interactions with the world. Today, I'm joined by the lovely, amazing Sunny. Sunny, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Sony, or Sony Side Up. That's as far as my introduction goes. Because honestly, you kill it every time and you make me feel so loved, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, and we'll be getting into Sagittarius through the houses. So yeah, let's just dive right in. Yes, you were asking earlier about Sagittarius rising,
Yeah,
right?
because I think my best friend is a rising. Can I tell you how she looks and then you tell me?
Yes. Can I guess?
Please. Okay, yeah, let's do that.
Does she have amazing legs?
Yeah.
Like this, the hip area, like,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, she does. So she's like 5'9".
Of
5'10".
course, of course.
She is a super healthy woman, but she just like, it doesn't matter how much she eats, how little she works out, or how much she works out, she's always lean and like not particularly muscular, but just I would call her lean. She's got really big eyes.
Yeah.
And she's beautiful.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yes. Because every sign rules over body part.
Oh.
So Sagittarius is to do with the legs.
Oh.
So I find that a lot of Sagittarius people have really like long, beautiful legs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like off the bat.
Okay.
Yeah. So even the leanness, I think that comes with like the stamina. Because think about how the centaur is half man, half horse, and how like horse legs are really, really beautiful.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so powerful.
And so powerful, exactly. That's where the stamina is coming from. And so they have really powerful legs. Yeah. A lot of them could even be runners, right? Yeah.
You know, so the first time you and I met, I asked you to guess my rising because you had mentioned something similar about
Yes.
the planet that rules your rising can determine how you show up in the world.
Absolutely.
And ever since, I've been going and looking at people and seeing if I can guess their rising, you know? Especially if I know their chart or things like that. Yeah, that's really interesting.
And how has that been?
Not as successful as you. Still learning.
Still learning.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Sagittarius people, apart from just how they look, it's also about how they speak. And also sometimes like what they do, like probably someone who's a preacher or someone who's a teacher or probably someone who really, really, really identifies with traveling, like a travel vlogger or someone who just is always on the move, on the go, right?
So this is in the first house.
This is in the first house.
Okay.
Right?
What's the significance of these signs ruling a body part? Like,
I feel like they just like, for me, I just opened a book and I saw, okay, signs ruling the body part. And I was like, okay. But I feel like it's according to the order of the signs and how the body appears as well. Because you start from Aries, the head.
oh, interesting.
Taurus, Gemini, the hands. Cancer, the chest, right? Leo, the heart, right? The heart and around also this chest area. Then Virgo, the gut.
But
right?
Leo also the hair, right?
Absolutely.
Like maybe nice manes.
Yeah. Very like mane-like
Yeah.
appearances. And yeah, and for example, Libra, the groin area, the hips, Sagittarius, the legs, Scorpio, the private parts, and Aquarius, the shins, Pisces, the feet.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
But does it ever like does it have any implications?
it does. It does, especially in medical astrology. You can pinpoint where health issues could arise, especially where the malefic planets are. So, for example, you have even maybe Mars in Sagittarius, and so you should really be careful about your legs, hurting your legs, being accident prone when it comes to your legs.
And here I was thinking it was just because I was 30, my knees are giving out.
Stop.
I promise.
Yeah.
All the like running and stuff that
Yeah.
I do, my knees.
So they use that in like medical astrology and also to give you remedies.
Interesting. So what's the first house is about who you are.
Yes.
Right?
It's about your body, your appearance, right? Your identity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So somebody with Sagittarius in the first house would, if you were like, oh, tell me a little bit about yourself outside of work, they might say like, oh, I love to travel.
Exactly. I love adventure.
Yeah, I'm a big reader.
Absolutely. Or like, I'm into the church. I'm a Christian. Could go both ways.
Yeah. So then what about the second house? I really know nothing about the houses, so excuse me.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine because it's a learning process. So there'll never be a point where you're like, I know everything.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah.
So the second house is about value, finances. It's about what we value, our finances, how we make money. Right. So the houses, you can also think of the houses as corresponding to the signs in a way. So because the first sign is Aries, it's like, who am I, right? How am I appearing? Then the second house, you can think of Taurus and what it rules in terms of like finances, comfort, like how do I create comfort? In this world, we need money, right? We need to know what our value system is. And so for Sagittarius, I will think someone who makes money through travel, through teaching.
Hey, I wish that was me.
Preaching, right? That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Through all the Sagittarian themes, right? So maybe professors, maybe lawyers, maybe judges, all these things, because Sagittarius also is about law. Yeah.
Let's say I see my chart and I have Sagittarius in the second house, but right now I work in finance or something, or I work, I don't know, I literally can't think of any job. But I work in something that's maybe not in the Sagittarius theme. If somebody came to you and you were reading their chart, would you maybe, if they were talking about being unhappy, would you maybe suggest looking in these areas, like pivoting career to do finance at a school?
Absolutely, because I feel like that's exactly what astrology is for. It like helps you narrow down where your energies are most needed, right?
Yeah.
And even if that person doesn't have maybe they have like Sagittarius in the second, but they don't do any Sagittarian themed things,
right?
They could have maybe other planets there, right? So probably they could have, because a lot of times it's very rare that you'll find that the whole second house is just one sign. Okay, a lot of astrologers use whole signs like that in for example, we're Cancer risings, so they assume that the whole first house is Cancer.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
But when you look at it like with the mathematical divisions, like exactly, sometimes you see like it's split. So it will be maybe a small half of Scorpio, then a big half of Sagittarius, or the opposite, or a small half of Sagittarius, a big half of Capricorn, the next sign. So in that context, you can look for nuance.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I guess that's what it matters about how much the planet influences the house.
Yeah, but it's always advisable to lean into your strengths. Like, don't try and, I don't know, like fight against the river currents. Yeah, just work with your strength.
And maybe that's where you're naturally inclined to.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. And then it could also be like a secondary source of income, things like that you're finding.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Taurus, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it also to do with like creature comforts? Like,
yes, absolutely. It's about like creating comfort through your senses, especially. So through food, through Taurus people love nice things.
Yeah.
Like they love to smell nice, to eat nice, to look nice. Like it's always about that. So
they really just look like they're living such luxurious lives.
Exactly.
Within them, just
exactly. They're very like, they have this feeling of we're comfortable.
Yeah.
And that's why like the moon is exalted in Taurus. It's like, this is where we get our nurturing, our comfort. Like we feel good here. And so, yeah, that's why like the second house is closely associated with Taurian themes.
So maybe you would find comfort in being able to have like maybe a bit of a more flexible working schedule.
Absolutely.
Where you're able to
flexibility.
Yeah. Okay.
And making money through flexibility. Yeah, because a lot of times it's about us adjusting ourselves, because I feel like if we were born with the knowledge of our charts, it would have been easier to kind of like grow up adjusting. But it's still okay because life has this weird thing of like pushing you to where you need to be. Yeah, like if you're not very hell-bent on on not listening, you're exactly where you need to be. And so
Yeah.
it's just about adjusting. Yeah. And because also Sagittarius is mutable being like they're very adaptable, it's easy for them to just pivot. That's why the adventure, the freedom, it comes with all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then what does the third house, what are the themes of the third house?
The third house is to do with communication, right? So the third house rules over communication, siblings, short distance travel. So maybe like we're going to an event, we're going to, I don't know, Kisumu, we're going very like short travels, and the local community, right? So probably this is someone who is very active on the go within the local community, right? Very active in their siblings' lives, right? Or also very blunt with their siblings, because Sagittarius have this manner of speak that's very
Direct.
yeah, cutting. Like think about how Nicki Minaj speaks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's a Mercury in Sagittarius.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Nice.
it's very blunt. It's
Yeah.
like, if you like me, if you don't, that's your problem, but I'm going to say what I'm going to say. And so there's a feeling of this bluntness when you're dealing with maybe your local community, your relatives, so you have to watch out for that. Also, what else? Yeah, because it's about communication. It's about just trying to take in also other people's perspectives. Yeah. Not being so enamored by your idealistic vision.
Yeah. So what would be because we were comparing it like Aries in the first house, Taurus in the second house,
Gemini.
Okay. So Sagittarius would be pretty comfortable there potentially. No?
Because it's
They're
the opposite.
opposites.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it'll struggle a bit to assimilate in that,
Okay.
in the energies of that sign.
Okay. So
Yeah.
if Sagittarius is in your third house, maybe looking at having a little bit, maybe being a little less like
Preachy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say abrasive.
Yes, or
But I'm speaking
abrasive or
about
blunt.
myself essentially. Yeah.
Yes,
I don't want to insult
absolutely.
anyone, but yeah, those are the things.
But you'll be like, are you dumb?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I guess community, working with others, making sure that you're, like you said, listening to other people's opinions.
Absolutely.
Interesting that siblings is there too.
Yeah.
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 Oh, because Gemini, the twins, or that has nothing to do with it.
No, I like how you think. You really think in detail. I like how you think, but I think the association is just kind of like, it's loose. Let's say it's a loose association. It's just know that the houses, first of all, you have to think of them as completely different from the signs.
Right.
It'll just help you to kind of like
remember the themes.
Yeah, like kind of relationary relate them, because it's not fixed that okay, the third house is a Gemini house. No, it's just like kind of like pointers.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll give you a feel of the energy. But for example, now we're seeing relatives. When you talk about Gemini, we don't talk about relatives.
Oh, okay.
It's the third house that's about relatives. Okay. But for example, when you talk about Mercury, you talk about coordination and sometimes how you speak. So some things might relate, but some might not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if kind of going back to siblings, if you were having trouble connecting to your siblings or having trouble getting through to them, speaking with them, finding common ground, maybe this is where you would look to be like, what kind of energy am I bringing?
Absolutely. The third house.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the fourth house.
Yes. The fourth house is about home. So how do you curate your home space? Like, and this is, I think I have Sagittarius here in my fourth house. And I have Pluto in Sagittarius in my fourth house. So the fourth house is about your roots, your foundations, and your personal integrity.
Your actual roots, like your family?
Yes. Oh. Absolutely. So where do you come from?
Oh.
Like, yeah.
So how would Sagittarius, what's the influence there?
I feel like this will look like being very comfortable with people from other cultures. I have a ton of friends who are so like drastically different from where I come from. And we all like really appreciate each other's input. So that's what it looks like for me. It also would look like probably being at home in other countries, like in, you know, traveling, feeling very like a deep connection with travel. And because the fourth house is also about your core, like your personal integrity, I also have very deep philosophical like beliefs, right? I also have very deep like truths, personal truths that you can't sway me from. So my value system is really like unshakable. Like, yeah. And so this may make me very stubborn in seeing someone else's perspective. And so I have to be very cautious about that. And that's why I try and kind of learn about other people's cultures and how other people kind of assimilate and immerse myself like in other cultures so that I'm able to get out of my own belief system, right?
Is it also about how you build your home?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So for example, for us, like me growing up, we moved a lot. We were never like, we were always on the go.
Yeah.
So for me, I have this feeling of, I don't want to call it instability, but that's how it feels. It's very like, I don't know where I'll be tomorrow. So I'm very like, I'm used to like picking up, going.
And comfortable with change.
Yeah. And comfortable with change as well. I'm very comfortable with change. In fact, I feel like consistency is what kind of scares me, because I'm like, why is everything cool for so long? Like,
speaking of consistency,
Yeah.
I feel like Sagittarius get a really bad rap of not being
Absolutely.
commitment
Non-committal. I don't know how we forgot to say that.
Yeah.
They're very non-committal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, sorry. You gotta let us be free a little bit, you know? You gotta let
you
us...
need to give them the space.
Yeah.
I think we said that. Yeah.
And now the fifth house. What's the fifth?
Yes.
How many houses? 12?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Just like the signs.
Okay.
The fifth house is about fun.
Nice.
It's about creativity. It's about play, romance. So flirting, dating.
Oh, I feel like Sagittarius would be so good here.
I feel like Sagittarius, because when I look at it in whole signs, now my Sagittarius falls here. So it's about like, these people are happy with the affairs, the flings, the anything that like brings spontaneity in their lives. This is where they thrive. They also can be very adventurous when it comes to creating. And, you know, like these are energies that are cohesive, I feel, because the fifth house correlates to Leo. You remember that all?
Okay, yeah.
The temperament is kind of the same. So they're like, oh, let's do this, let's create, let's have fun. These are probably people who are like traveling artists, right? Kind of thing. These are people who may have numerous affairs wherever they go. Like wherever they travel, they have a lover and things of the sort. Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. Sounds like fun.
Yeah. I think that's us.
Yeah. I wonder. I'm really now like in my mind trying to think where my, because now that I have a better understanding of what the houses mean, I feel like it'll help me understand better.
Absolutely.
My planet.
Yeah.
Because there's 12 houses, Sagittarius will fall definitely in one of your houses. You just have to see which one.
Yeah, because yours, I think it's in your fifth.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you have you're a Cancer rising.
Yeah.
So if you look at it in whole signs, you just count Cancer as the first, then Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius. So it's actually the sixth in whole signs.
Well, that's a great segue.
Let's get into it. To the sixth. Yes, the sixth. So the sixth house is to do with, actually yours could fall in the fifth, but we'll check. We'll check. I'm still thinking about it. But the sixth house is to do with routines. Right? Your daily job. What do you do for work on a daily? It's also about health.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Your physical health.
Yes. Health. Your physical health, absolutely. And it also correlates with Virgo.
Okay.
Yeah. So of course we're like the routine people, we're the people, are you eating right? What are you putting into your body? And things of the sort. And so having Sagittarius here, I feel like could mean either someone who is very kind of like about the health, like because
Yeah.
I feel like there's a there's a strain in energy here because Sagittarius wants to be okay free, and they don't want to really like be at the same place for too long, right? And a lot of times when we're looking at our health, like it's really about the nitty-gritty, it's about our routines, and Sagittarius energy is not good with routines.
Right.
Yeah,
And I can see like almost impatience.
exactly.
Like, no, not thinking to schedule the doctor's appointment or pushing it off or being like, yeah, we'll get to it.
Exactly. Like the actual boring, mundane things that you need
Yeah.
in the sixth house.
Yeah.
Sagittarius is just not with that, right? And yeah, that just gives me energy of, I know like a lot of Sagittarius people who really struggle with routine, but they're very, what I tell a lot of Sagittarius people, especially when I do their charts, is that find a way to make your routine like
Flexible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And disorganized.
Oh,
Disorganize your routine.
okay.
Because I feel like what Sagittarius fight is the organization. It's not really the routine. Because you'll see someone, like for you, you'll wake up every day at the same time.
Yeah.
But it's about really how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
And like the energy levels it gives you. So for me, it's like if you feel like you can't do the same thing every day, do it at different times of the day. Like go with your instinct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And find ways to make it interesting and different.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's not just the same.
Yeah. Like, are you going to your doctor's appointment? Fine. Pass by, like, I don't know, like a place that makes you feel like you're having fun. So maybe like schedule a date or like go to eat or just do something spontaneous and then go to your doctor's appointment. Right. In the same day.
Yeah.
So that you don't feel like the routine is constricting for you.
Right. Or like instead of, because for me it would be like, oh, well, I want to watch my show or read my book. It's like bring the show or the book to the doctor's office. Sit with it in the office and finish your episode while you wait for your appointment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So we said sixth house is health, routine.
And what do you do for work?
Oh, and your job.
Yeah. So it could also look like, what's your relationship with your coworkers? Yeah. Are you too blunt? Are you too, like abrasive? And you need to find ways to be tactful within your job. Yeah.
And maybe even finding jobs where every day is a little bit different.
Exactly. Or like a job where you travel a lot, or like tapping into the strengths of this sign for what you do daily. Because trust me, if it's just a 9 to 5 in the office, it's going to bore the hell out of you.
Yeah. It's interesting. You know that app, The Pattern, which...
Yes.
So I was listening to an interview with the founder, and she was talking about building her team for the app. And she was saying, where they would allow me, I would ask for their chart because it's never going to hurt your application.
Absolutely.
It's just like, I know where your strengths are for this job.
And that's where you're going to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I know I'm going to hire you, but it's like, let me make sure I'm playing to your strengths.
Absolutely.
And I thought, oh, that's smart.
Yeah.
Way to use astrology to her benefit there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like a lot of people, even when like in the past, kings used to kind of establish their kingdoms, they used to use astrologers. Like they used to curate their team according to where is this person best suited. And I feel like that's how people should be doing things. Like you can't cram 6 Aries people in a team project and expect it to end. I'm sorry, like they're gonna start with a bang. They're going to love it. They're going to be like, let's do this, and then in the middle they're just going to be like, yo, we're tired, we need new things. So you need like an Aries to start, you need a Taurus to see the things through, and then you need like maybe a Virgo to do the detail work and to like transition into something else. But yeah, I feel like that's something that people have not caught on yet, and once they cut up, it'll be too late.
Yeah. We'll be thriving in our jobs.
Exactly.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
So that's the 6th house, and now 7th?
Yes. So the 7th house is about your significant other. or the traits you look for in your significant other. So think about business partnerships, romantic partnerships, and naturally this coincides with Libra. Yeah, so because Libra is very much about the other person. What is the other person doing? What is the other perspective?
Fairness.
Pisses me off.
That's my shit right there.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you have Libra placements?
Yeah. But you mean outside of Venus?
Oh yes, Venus.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Libra moon.
Yeah.
I have a Libra Mercury, but I just don't see the Libra coming through.
Yeah.
But my sister does tell me I'm very I don't know, like I have perspective when it comes to how I communicate. Maybe not really how I feel, but what will come out of my mouth will be very like
diplomatic.
Yes,
Yeah.
diplomatic. That's what she tells me. So when you think about the traits you look for in your significant other, so someone who loves to travel, right? Someone who is blunt or harsh
or open-minded
or open-minded or
optimistic.
Expansive, or
Yeah.
someone who is a preacher, or someone who is preachy,
Yeah.
or someone who is a philosopher, someone who is a professor, a judge, right?
But don't expect this person to give you direction, because they might not be the person you want to follow.
Absolutely. And this is someone you need to be willing to give space, right? Or if you're the person with Sagittarius in the 7th, you need space. You need freedom. Yeah. And this is why you'd probably be seeking out someone who is willing to give you that space. Yeah.
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 I can see that. Maybe a little bit unconventional.
Yeah. Or you travel together.
Yeah.
These couples are always doing things together, on the go together.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I ask more questions?
Yeah.
So how does this, if this is what you're seeking in your 7th house, where else would you look to see what other things influence what you'd be seeking in a significant?
Venus.
Okay.
Yes.
So those two kind of together.
Absolutely. And so a lot of times, for example, not everyone has Venus in the 7th house.
Right.
So it'll be somewhere else.
Yeah.
So you get perspective like that. In that it's not only here in the 7th house that you may see what your partner could look like. You could also look at Venus. For example, I have my 7th house is Aquarius. So I'm very against the grain when it comes to relationship. Like, I'm with queerness, I'm with the queer shits. Like, I don't really subscribe to heteronormativity. And then my Venus is in Cancer, which is the complete opposite of having an Aquarius 7th house.
Yeah.
Because a Venus in Cancer, like you're the wife that's acha nikoshe miguu, like let me wash your feet. You know, like you're very maternal and nurturing, and you just want to pour that energy into your significant other, or like the people you love. And so that gives you perspective. You're just not one person. Yeah.
And so those two things can be true.
Absolutely.
In a partner.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Now, oh man, now that I know the houses, my life's about to change. What's the 8th house themes?
The 8th house is about healing. It's about death and rebirth. It's about sex and intimacy.
Healing, like emotional healing?
Yes.
Oh.
Healing. Yeah. It's about also trust.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah.
Those are deep.
Those are deep.
So if Sagittarius is in your 8th house, what would that look like?
Actually, what? Let me think about it, because this is kind of having someone who has like a very strong opinionated point of view. And then you have this house of, because the 8th house is also about inheritance. It's about other people's resources. So think about it like, think about it like in the 7th house, this is where you come and you meet someone, but the 8th house is where you merge.
Okay.
So that's why the sex is where you merge your resources. So bank accounts, think about grants, gifts, other people's money. Yeah. And your significant other's money. Yeah. So I feel like because of this aspect of Sagittarius also being Jupiter ruled, this can bring an aspect of luck when it comes
that.
to when it comes to other people's money. So you could find that these are people who actually even get inheritances or grants or gifts more easily than others.
Or like those people when you go to the fairs and then there's like, guess how many beans in the jelly bean, and you always have that one friend who gets it.
Yeah.
And you're like, how did you know?
Exactly. And because Sagittarius is very optimistic, like they have a naturally magnetic energy already. So when you put this in the house of trust, it's kind of like just nice.
Okay, so they would be like, yeah, because I can see how some themes are in line and would gel, but also I could also see a little bit of tension.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because now when you think about death and rebirth and all these like shedding identities, actually I feel like Sagittarius, it's so weird because they're very good at being adventurous, but they're not so good at letting go of their opinions and beliefs. Yeah. So on one side, you have someone who is ready to explore, but maybe only physically. Maybe not yet mentally.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where the confusion comes in for me. Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And trust. Like the actual trust between people.
Yes, between people. Yeah.
Okay. Because I also somehow, for some reason, feel tension there. Like, I'm not saying people who are Sagittarius aren't trustworthy, but I think there's this like movement and needing to change and grow and like, you know.
But I do feel like Sagittarians are better with blind faith.
Okay.
Yeah. Like the optimism, the blind faith, I feel like that does well with trust.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like to trust someone is to be willing to be like, okay, I have a kind of blind faith in you. Yeah. Especially when you're someone who is not very, because like for me, it's like very action oriented. Like trust is very action oriented.
Yeah.
It's not blind for me.
By your behavior.
Absolutely. And you remember I have Pluto in Sagittarius, so it's like I'm constantly questioning like, why do I need to have this blind faith in the system, in you? Like you need to show me why I need to trust you. But sometimes Sagittarius people are not like that. Like they will dive head first.
True.
Through situations, in relationships. They're just there, they want to feel the experience.
Okay, so the 9th house.
Yes.
What are the themes?
The 9th house themes are spirituality. Okay, no, it's actually not spirituality. It's more religion.
Okay.
Organized religion.
Oh.
It's also philosophy, long distance travel, and
I see where we're going.
Exactly. You get the drift. So this is the Sagittarian house. Precisely. So having Sagittarius in the 9th, I feel like it's just, oh, we're traveling, oh, adventure, oh, we're teaching, we're like learning the law, or it gives me very like, do you watch Suits?
Yeah. Oh, do I ever?
Yeah. It gives like Harvey Specter energy. Yeah.
What a man.
The way he talks so bluntly.
Yeah. So hot.
This is giving.
I'm like, yeah.
Until he talks to you.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah, until he reads me for filth.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, so Sagittarius is just very comfortable here in the 9th house. So this is like perfect synastry. Yeah.
So would this person be interested in religion, like organized religion? Probably. Absolutely. Somebody of faith?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Someone with a very strong faith.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even have to be like one faith.
Right.
Yeah. Just whatever they deeply believe in. Yeah. It's also about morality, like good or bad.
Would maybe this is a broader question, but would luck in particular play here? Or
I think so.
It's just across the board. If you have Sagittarius somewhere, it's often also bringing some form of luck.
I think so because, I mean, Jupiter is the ruler. So Sagittarius kind of like travels with its ruler.
Yeah.
So, for example, if you'd look at someone who has Sagittarius in the 9th, then you'd look at where is Jupiter in their chart as well to see how those energies can coexist.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was just good fortune. They never miss a flight. They
Yeah,
go to
it's
the
actually
counter.
very good fortune.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go to check in, they're like, "You've been upgraded." I'm
Actually,
like,
that's
"What?"
very Jupiter and Sagittarius. It's you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. That's
That
great.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
envious of those people.
Mm-hmm.
And now the 10th house.
Yes. So the 10th house is very public facing. It's
Mm.
about your career. It's about your legacy. Yeah. So it's not necessarily what you do for a job, but what are you known for publicly. So someone who is widely known as a teacher, someone who is widely known as a professor, someone who is widely known in the law, like practitioners.
Could it also be, I mean, notorious, like almost in a bad way? You're known to be a bad teacher. Like all students never pass your class.
Yes, you're known to be very blunt.
Yeah.
You're known like for how you speak, maybe carelessly to other people. Yeah, also you're known for traveling, right? Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I like that theme and idea of legacy, like kind of the impact you're leaving on the world
Exactly.
and how people remember you.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
Oh.
Yeah.
And you said legacy and there was something else that was in there? Oh, career?
Yes.
No. What was
Yes,
it,
career. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because a lot of people work towards their careers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that could be very public facing, like law, what profession.
Is it public facing because of Sagittarius, or it's just it's always going to be like
The
what you're
10th house is on the top of the horizon. It's the
Oh.
highest point in a chart. That's why it's public facing.
Could you explain that a little bit?
For example, when you have the circular chart, right? You can picture it. So the highest point on the chart is the 10th house cusp. And that's why it's always public facing, because it's where you're most visible, as opposed to down here below the circle, or like just here at the edge of the circle. The lowest point of that is the 4th house.
And that was
And that's about roots, foundations,
yes. Okay.
stability. That's why it's down here. And they're directly opposing each other, the 4th house and the 10th house, because you need roots. A lot of people work on their career and forget their roots.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they, for example, a lot of people will be traveling, they'll be wherever, they'll be trying to build a name for themselves, but at the same time, that energy, when it's too public facing and too 10th house related, then you leave no space to cultivate your home and your roots and your foundation.
And we've heard about that a lot. I mean, from
Absolutely.
big names like
Yeah.
celebrities to even just you have friends who are like, oh, my mom was never around, my dad was never around. They were
Yeah.
just
But they're also a very like big name in the public space.
Okay.
And it's because they put too much energy into the 10th house. And I feel like it's always just a sacrifice to make. Because, for example, my mom has been very active in her lives and in building a home. But let's say she doesn't have like a career legacy,
Yeah.
right? And that's okay.
Yeah.
Because the legacy she has is within her home.
Yeah.
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 When we're talking about legacy and career, and if you were looking at that, it's the 10th house in your chart. Would you also then want to consider like north-south node here, where you would be like, oh, to move towards your destiny?
The north and south node falls with accordance to the sign, right?
Okay.
So for example, let's say in your 10th house you have Aries, right? So meaning Aries is up there. So meaning in to the public eye, you're very impulsive, you're very bold, you're a leader, you're assertive, you're all these things. And when the north node is in Aries, then it will be there.
Oh, I see.
It will do with your destiny. But
Okay.
it could be in Libra, which will be in the 4th house, right? So there will be this opposition when it comes to building your foundations and your destiny being here within your home. And for example, you focusing a lot on career.
Okay,
Right?
that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily the impact of the north node in the 10th house. It's always just going to be like the north node, which sign influences
Exactly.
it, and then you
Which-
look for that on your chart, whichever house.
Absolutely. And then if you want to know like someone will have a lot of impact in their 10th house, you look for planets in their 10th house.
Oh.
So for example, if you have, the way I've said, North Node in Aries, then maybe you have the sun there. The more planets there, the more emphasis there will be.
Oh, interesting.
Exactly.
And that's why you see the circular chart with the lines and
Absolutely. And the planets.
go read my chart.
Exactly. Now you're getting it. Yeah.
Okay. And I can see how it's all connected. Okay, so now moving to the 11th house.
Yes. The 11th house is the house of friends, of peers.
Oh, fun.
Yes.
I like that house.
Of course, social groups. It's the house of humanitarianism, so the collective, right? And having Sagittarius here could mean that you probably are very blunt with your friends, you're very preachy, or you also love traveling with your friends or teaching your friends, or like this is where you find your friend groups coexist, right? You also could be in travel groups, right? You also,
or maybe have communities around different areas.
Exactly. Yeah, with Sagittarian themes. Yeah.
That sounds fun.
Right?
That's not me, but it sounds great.
It sounds amazing. I feel like it sounds amazing, but you need to be tactful, especially when you have Sagittarius mixing with community. Yeah.
And I guess also not spreading yourself too thin, because then how meaningful are these relationships that you're building?
That exactly.
Yeah.
Not being superficial about your connections.
Yeah. So you said friends, community, and that's even community in terms of your local community, the town, city.
The local is in the third.
Okay.
Yeah. But the 11th is kind of like your friend group. It's more like your social group.
The people that you're choosing.
Right, yeah. Local community could be like the country in which you reside in, like Nairobi and like Kisumu, like it's like local travel. The third is more about local travel, but the 11th is more about the groups. So who are you hanging out with? Like, is it the New Nairobi clique? Is it
would it also be like social groups?
Yeah.
Like if you
like feminist groups,
hiking groups.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I think that's also important to know. I often get people asking me like, oh, where do you go to make friends? And maybe you would look here to be like, what kind of communities would I best gel with?
You'd look to the 11th house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a cute house.
It's a cute house. You have, I think your 12th house is Gemini, so your 11th is Taurus.
Yeah.
So people who, luxurious.
Honestly, yes.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say people who are at home. I'm like, we're never going to meet each other.
Yeah, exactly.
We're all just in our own homes.
But people who crave luxury, people who know how to create luxury and comfort.
So true.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, almost to a fault. A lot of disposable income for me will go towards that kind of
beautiful,
enjoyable stuff.
Yeah.
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 Interesting. Yeah. My food blog.
Exactly.
I mean, that's half the reason.
Very Taurus, like right in the nose.
Interesting. And here I was thinking I didn't have because a Taurus, another sign that I love. Taurus and Scorpio. Love
He's
you.
both.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Must be nice.
Yeah.
It's so nice. Okay, and finally the 12th house.
Yes. Now this is where spirituality actually falls. Also hidden things, so the subconscious, mental health, kind of like this is also to do with isolation. So think about places like jails, prisons, mental health institutions. It's they call it a malefic house in that it's the themes we're not so happy with and we don't want to deal with, right? So when you think about mental health and things of the sort, the subconscious, this is kind of like the house of the shadow because it's right before the first. Before you come into yourself and your body, what is there behind you? That's the 12th. And
but not death, because death was in another house.
The 8th.
The 8th house.
Yes.
Yeah.
Death is the 8th.
Okay.
This is kind of like where you transcend spiritually. So a very spiritual house, right? So that in Sagittarius, what do you think that looks like?
I would say so it's about So it would be about how you seek spiritual, like you're like somebody who in nature feels really connected, maybe when you're maybe you go inwards through doing things like solo travel or like hiking,
Yes.
being in nature.
Yes.
You like reading and learning.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what you said about solo travel and kind of like even assimilating information by yourself, like self-teaching and things of the sort. And I feel like it's just where you come and you're alone in your space and you do your shadow work. So how does that merge with Sagittarian themes? And exactly, it looks like solo traveling. It looks like trying to even focus on the details, trying to work on the shadows of Sagittarian energy, right? So probably you're too blunt and you have that checked a lot. This is also like a place of self undoing, right? It could be a place of self undoing, self sabotage. So you have to be very aware about the energies of your 12th house because that's where things are hidden from you.
So if it's Sagittarius in your 12th house, you're saying that you would want to look at the opposite traits of the Sagittarius individual to look at maybe the places that need work for you.
Yes, or you could look at the shadow traits of Sagittarian energy.
And that's
For example, the bluntness,
right.
the blind faith.
Yeah.
Sometimes not being in tune with reality.
Right.
You could look at how that is making you sabotage in your own life.
And earlier you talked about like not listening.
Absolutely.
Like bulldozing people with your opinions.
Exactly.
Oh, I think that's like a really important house to pay attention to.
Absolutely. It's very important. And I feel like a lot of malefic houses are not, that's where the shadow work is, and that's what people constantly are running away from. It's like self accountability, but those houses will show you exactly where you need to be self accountable.
So then maybe the hedonism in like Sagittarius is you're literally running away from your problems. Yep. So you're like pick up, leave,
exactly,
go to a new town.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that might not always be a good thing.
Right.
For example, if you have Sagittarius in the 12th, it's like, how are you using these things? How are you overly using religion to escape reality? Right? How are you using philosophy and other things? Are you running away?
Yeah. Oh, that's sneaky. And yeah, Sagittarius who's good at communicating, who could like probably talk their way out of anything. That's
absolutely
interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. I feel like I understand the houses so much more now.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, would you like to plug your socials?
I would love to. I'm at Sony Side Up on everything. Instagram is sony.side.up, but you'll find me if you just SONI side.up. Yeah, that's me.
Oh, thank you so much, Sony, for gracing my podcast. I feel like you're just so good at interviewing.
Thank you.
And kind of like just flowing with the conversation. Gift of gab again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, thank you for having me. Honestly, it's such an honor. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you.
Anytime.
I feel like we'll keep telling each other thank you. So let me just get to it. You can find me at Wandiology on all socials. And you can find the podcast at the Wandiology podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'll see you in the next episode, which is the Capricorn Architect. Bye.